Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Niqmah and people usually call me Ifa. Now I'm gonna tell you about the 7 habits of highly effective people summary. And let's get started. So first, this is Stephen R. Covey. He made this book as the author of the 7 habits of highly effective people. This book first published in 1989 and this is a business and self-help book. So, habits constantly express our character and produce our effectiveness or our ineffectiveness. In the words of Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. Success is a function of public image, of attitudes and behaviors, of skills that lubricate the process of human interactions. I don't say the skills are important, but they are secondary. If there isn't deep integrity and fundamental goodness behind what you do, the challenge of life will cause true motivates to surface, and human relationship failure will replace short-term success. As Emerson once put it, "What you are shouted so loudly in my ears, I cannot hear what you say." Change our habits to improve what we are can be painful process. It must be motivated by a higher purpose and by the willingness to subordinate what you think you want now for what you know you want later. As you open the gates of change to give yourself new habits, be patient with yourself. This is not a quick fix, but I assure you that you will see immediate benefits. And if you see the whole picture clearly, you will have the perseverance to see the process to its conclusion. Have faith, and it's worth the effort. So, first, habit 1. Be proactive. You won't find it in an ordinary dictionary, but the word is common now in management literature. Proactivity means that as human beings we are responsible for our own lives. If we think our lives are a function of our condition, it's because we have, by conscious decision or by default, chosen to empower those things to have control over us. We have let ourselves become reactive. Reactive people are often affected by the weather. Proactive people carry their own weather with them. Being proactive means recognizing our responsibility to make things happen. The people who end up with the good jobs are those who seize the initiative to do whatever is necessary, consistent with correct principles to get the job done. So, for all of us, there are many things that concern us that we can't do anything about for now, but there are also things we can do. Proactive people work on their circle of influence, the people and things they can reach, and spend less energy on their much wider circle of concern. By keeping their focus on their circle of influence, they actually extend its area. As you become more proactive, you will make mistakes. While we choose our action freely, we can choose their consequences, which are governed by natural law. Out in our circle of concern, the proactive approach to a mistake is to acknowledge it instantly, correct it, and learn from it. To delay, to deny the mistake is to miss its lesson. Success. So, try this exercise for 13 days. As you become more proactive, you will make mistakes. First, work only in your smaller circle of influence. Then, make small commitments to yourself and the others and keep them. Be a light, not a judge. Be a model, not a critic. Be the solution, not the problem. If you stall to think some important problem in your life out there somewhere, stop yourself. That thought is the problem. Secondly, habit 2. Begin with the end in the mind. So, in your mind's eye, see yourself going to the funeral of a loved one. As you walk into the chapel, notice the flowers, the soft organ music, you see the faces of friends and family, you feel the shared sorrow of losing, the joy of having known. As you reach the front of the room and look inside the casket, you suddenly come face to face with yourself. This is your funeral 3 years from now. Take a seat and look down at the program in your hand. The first speaker is from your extended family, the second is a close friend, the third is an acquaintance from your business life, the fourth is from your church or some community service organization where you have worked. So, what character would you like each of the speakers to have seen in you? What difference would you like to have made in their lives? So, the second habit of effectiveness is to begin with the end in mind. It means to know where you are going so as to understand where you are now and take your next step in the right decision. So, the best way to start is to develop a personal mission statement. It describes what we want to be and character and to do achievements. The following is from my statement. Succeed at home first. Seek and merit divine help. Remember the people involved. Develop one new proficiency a year. Hustle while you wait. Keep a sense of humor. You could call a personal mission statement a sort of written constitution. Its power lies in the fact that it's fundamentally changeless. The key to living with change is retaining a sense of who you are and what your value. So first, start developing your mission statement from a core of principle. I mention this because all of us are drawn away from real effectiveness when we make our center something other than our principle. Thriving on chance requires a core of chance's values. Being spouse-centered might seem natural and proper, but experience tells a different story. Over the years, I have been called on to help many troubled friends, and the complete emotional dependence that goes with being spouse-centered often makes both partners so vulnerable to each other's mood, and they become resentful. So, the self-esteem of someone money-centered can weather the ups and downs of economic life. Money-centered people often put aside family or other priorities, assuming everyone will understand that economic demands come first. They don't always. We can damage our most important relationship by thinking that they do. Being pleasure-centered cheats one of lasting satisfaction. Too much time spent at leisure on the path of least resistance ensure that our mind and spirit become lethargic and our heart unfulfilled. We want to center our lives on correct principles, like unlike the others, centers based on people and things subject to frequent change. Correct principles don't change, but we can depend on them. So, your mission statement may take you some weeks to write from first draft to final form. It's a conscious expression of your innermost values and direction. Even then, you will want to review it regularly and make minor changes the years bring new insights. Be guided by Viktor Frank, who says we detect rather than invent our mission in life. Everyone has his own specific vocation in life, he said. Then he cannot be replaced neither or can his life be repeated. Organizations need a mission statement. So do the families, so that they don't simply lurch from emotional crisis to crisis, but instead now they have principles that will support them. The key is to have each member of the group contribute ideas and words to the final product. That contribution alone generates real commitment. Okay, third, habit 3. Put first thing first. So, what one thing could you do which you aren't doing now, that if you did it regularly, would you make a tremendous difference in your business or personal life? These habits involve self-leadership and self-management. Putting first thing first, leadership decide what first things are, and management is the discipline of carrying out your program. So, as Peter Drucker has pointed out, the expression time management is something of a new misnomer. We have a constant amount of time. No matter what we do, the challenge we face is to manage ourselves. And this is Stephen Covey's time management matrix that I found on his book. The first one is important and the urgent one on the first quadrant. The examples are crisis, pressing problems, project with deadlines. And the second one, second quadrant, which is important but not urgent. The examples are relationship building, planning, and recreations. And the third one, or the third quadrant, is not important but urgent. These are interactions, some phone calls, and some reports. And the last one is not important but also not urgent, which is third quadrant. And the examples are busy work, some mail, time waster. And this is what we call Stephen Covey's time management matrix. Okay, next one. Said Stephen Covey, we don't manage time, we can only manage ourselves. Instead of trying to fit all the things of our life into the time isolated, as many time management plans do, our focus here is on enhancing relationships and achieving results. We all face the same dilemma. We are caught between the urgent and the important. Something urgent requires immediate attention. It's usually visible, it presses on us, but may not have any bearing on our long-term goals. Important things, on the other hand, have to do with results. They contribute to our mission, our values, our high priority goals. We react to urgent matters. We often must act to take care of important matters, even as urgent things scream for our attention. People get carried away from their real goals and values by subordinating the important to the urgent. Some are beaten up by problems, basically in quadrant first and on the time management matrix, all day, every day. Their only relief is in escaping once in a while to calm water of fourth quadrant. So, to paraphrase what Drucker said, effective people don't solve problems, they pursue opportunities, they feed opportunities and starving problems. They have genuine quadrant first emergencies, but by thinking and acting preventively, they keep their number down. With the time management quadrants in mind, consider the question you answered at the beginning of this section. What quadrant do your answer fit in? For my guess, it's quadrant H. Deeply important but not urgent, and because they aren't urgent, you don't do them. So, I put a group of shopping center managers through the same exercise. The thing they said, I would make a tremendous difference. What to build helpful personal relationship with their tenants. The owner of the store inside the center is a quadrant second activity. So, we did an analysis of how much time they spent on that activity. It was less than 5% of their time. They had good reasons, urgent problems, one after the others. Reports, meetings, calls, interruptions. First quadrant consumed them. The only time they did spend with store manager was filled with negative energy, when they had to collect money or correct advertising practices that were out of line. The owners decided to be proactive. They resolved to spend 1/3 of their time improving the relationship with tenants. So, second quadrant activities are very powerful because they are closely tied to your results. Your effectiveness will increase dramatically with a small increase in those activities. Your cries will be fewer and smaller. To say yes to important things requires you to learn to say no to the other activities. Some of them urgent. Keep in mind that you are always saying no to something. If it isn't to the urgent things in your life, it's probably to the more fundamental important things. So, how to pursue second quadrant? First, identify your key roles. Business, family, mosque, church, whatever comes to mind as important. Think of those you will act in for the coming week. Think of 2 or 3 important roles you feel you should accomplish in each role during next 7 days. At least some of these goals should be second quadrant activities. Look at the week ahead with your goals in mind and block out the time each day to achieve them. Once your key goals are in place, look how much time you have left for everything else. How well you succeed skill depend on how resilient and determined you are defending your most important priorities. And then next, we have habit 4. Seek to understand, then be understood. The most important word to know in mastering this habit is listen. Listen to your colleagues, family, friends, customer, but not with intent to reply, to convince them, to manipulate, listen, to simply to understand, to see how the other party sees things. This is what we call, but we not intend to reply, to convince, to manipulate. The skill to develop here is empathy. Empathy is not sympathy. Sympathy is a form with agreement, a judgment. The essence of empathic listening is not you agree with someone, it's that you fully understand him emotionally and intellectually. Emphatic listening is with the ears, eyes, and heart for feeling, for meaning. Emphatic listening can be a powerful emotional deposit in itself because it provides the speaker with psychological air when that needs is met. You can work on your agreement in an atmosphere of trust. So, fifth habit, think win-win. Once we have mastered the first three habits, we are ready to move from the private factory to the public factory. Self and self-discipline are the foundation of good relationships to the others. We all know what a financial bank account is. If we make is in it, money will be there for us to withdraw when we need it. The emotional bank account is a metaphor that describes the amount of trust that's been built up in a personal relationship. If I into an account with you through courtesy, kindness, honesty, and keeping my commitment to you, your trust become higher. But if we have a habit of showing discourtesy, disrespect, cutting you off, overreacting, betraying your trust, or treating you, the trust level is becoming lower. So, what flexibility do I have? None. I'm walking on minefields. I'm politicking. I have to measure every word. Many organizations and many couple are like this. The fourth habit, think win-win, entails making an important deposit in another person's emotional bank account. Finding a way both of you can benefit of your interactions. All the other possibilities, win or lose. I win, you lose. Lose or win, I lose, you win. And lose or lose are ineffective either in the short term or the long term. So, the best way to approach win-win dealing is to remember that it, like all agreements, embodies a caveat. The complete description is win or no deal. Your attitude should be I want to win and I want you to win. If we can hammer something out under those conditions, let's agree that we won't make a deal this time. Maybe we will make one in the future. If a deal hurts them, it will hurt you. Using the paradigm of win-win requires three traits. First, integrity. We define integrity as the value we place on ourselves. We need to be self-aware, possess of an independent will. We make and keep meaningful promises and commitments to ourselves and others. Secondly, maturity. This is the balance between courage and considerations. Simply put, you must have enough empathy and goodwill to work for a win for your counterpart, and enough courage to make a win for yourself. Third, abundance mentality. You must know and believe that there is a plenty out there for everybody. Many people don't. They think that to success themselves, others must fail. They harbor secret hopes that other people must suffer misfortune. Not terrible misfortune, but acceptable misfortune that will keep them in their place. The abundance mentality recognizes that possibilities for growth and success are potentially limitless and sees in others the opportunity to complement its own strength. And then sixth habit, synergize. When Winston Churchill was called to lead Great Britain's war effort, he remarked that all his life had prepared him for this hour. In a similar sense, the exercise of all the other habits prepares us for the habit of synergy. Properly understood, synergy is the highest activity of life. Through it, we create new, untapped alternative things that didn't yet exist. We unleash people's greatest power. We make a whole greater than the sum of its parts. The creative process is also terrifying because you don't know exactly what's going to happen or where it's going to lead. You leave the comfort zone of base camp and confront an entirely new and unknown wilderness. You become a pathfinder. So, did you know this? The basis of synergy is that two people can disagree and both can be right. It's not logical, it's psychological. By removing both the need to be polite, example, and uncreative, and the threat of other egos, example, since the paper were anonymous, the release of creative energy was incredible. Once people have experienced real synergy, they are never quite the same again. They know that the possibility of such mind-expanding adventures always exists. The device that opens us to synergy's power depends on all the habits of effectiveness at once, requiring confidence, integrity, and empathy. It's all embedded in one crucial ability to value and exploit the mental, emotional, and psychological difference between people. Once people have been through synergy, they are not the same. 7 habits. Sharpen the saw. Suppose you come upon a man in the woods feverishly chewing down a tree. You look exhausted, you exclaim. How long have you been at it? Over 5 hours, he replies, and I'm beat. This is hard. Maybe you could take a break for a few minutes and sharpen the saw. Then the work would go faster. No time, the man says emphatically. I'm too busy sewing. Hmm, Habit 7 is taking time to sharpen the saw, if you are the saw, if the habits that makes all the others possible. To sharpen the saw means renewing ourselves in all 4 aspects of our natures. First, physical, like example exercise, nutrition, stress management. Secondly, mental, it's like reading, visualizing, planning, and writing. Third, social or emotional. It's like service, empathy, synergy, and security. Fourth, the last one, spiritual. Spiritual reading, study, and meditation. To exercise in all these necessary dimensions, we must be proactive. No one can do it for us or make it urgent for us. It's a quadrant fourth activity. Next, taking care of your spiritual dimensions renews your core, your center, your commitment to all your principles. People do this in a variety of ways. Some meditate on the scriptures, others immerse themselves in great literature or music, or commune with nature. So, to become strong, renew the spirit. So, this is the end. Thank you for listening and have a nice day. Bye.